when we meet a person that we consider as not as developed as us, maybe they make less than we do, maybe they have a worse physique than ours, maybe they, I don't know, speak in a less sophisticated way than we do, then we are probably going to be a lot more prone to treating them like a piece of garbage. Literally. And I'm sure that everybody watching this has been guilty of something like this. It is a tragedy that people who are working low class jobs, I don't know, like janitors, waiters, things like that, stuff that people still need to be doing. There needs to be somebody that does that, and sadly, they're one of the most important things that a person can do. For example, a janitor literally cleans stuff. That is crucial to any building, to any company, to whatever, and they're treated. Besides not being paid a lot, they're also treated as second class citizens. They're being discriminated because we think there's a disparity between who they are and who we are. I remember that when I was a little kid, when somebody who I assumed was lower class made me upset or acted in a way that I didn't like, I said, well, I can discard his opinion, which is a really good thing. I'm glad I did that. But the motivation for why I discarded their opinion wasn't that good. I can discard their opinion because in the future I'll probably be making more money than them. That's just not a good motivation. And it is true that sometimes we are nice to people only because we are afraid of what could happen if we are not nice to them. We treat our, I don't know, sister or brother or siblings in general very differently from how we treat our boss or our corporate boss, because we know that if we treat our sibling slightly disrespectfully, they're not going to shoot you, they're not going to fire you, they're not going to put your well-being on the line. But if we act disrespectfully and with a lack of coherence and respect in general with our corporate boss, we know that might affect our life a lot. If we don't, we might get fired, and even if we don't get fired, our life is going to be a lot more treacherous because we just created a bad we just worsened our reputation with somebody that is controlling half our day or work day, whatever, just as an example. But what if that's the only reason we're being nice to people? What is making us so virtuous? What is actually making us a superior person? Pretty much nothing. Because the only motivation to be nice with someone would, in that case, would be just self self profit and personal gain. We're not doing it because of an ideology or philosophy that is guiding our lives. No, we're doing it just because we are afraid of what could happen if we don't do it, and when we don't do it, we do it only with people that we know aren't powerful enough to change things. For example, this is especially prevalent with teachers in the school environment with students, because students don't disrespect their teachers. Of course they don't disrespect their teachers, especially if they're their teachers, because they know they can absolutely destroy their academic profile. But they might be disrespectful to the janitor, again, because the janitor doesn't actually control that much of their student life or their future. The teacher does. So we kind of create this hierarchy of respect just because a person controls what will happen to me and another person doesn't control what happens to me. And yes, it's basic human nature to think like that, to think only about yourself, about your personal gain, personal gain, whatever. And it is also kind of a human need to kind of be mean sometimes. But being mean only with the people that don't control your future, there needs to be a better way of doing it. Because most of the time we internalize all of the frustrations with higher ranking officials, and we vomit them upon people that we know aren't gonna change our lives that much, or that we know that if we're mean to them aren't really gonna make a fuss about it. And that's kind of sad, because when somebody is wronging you deliberately, you shouldn't be mean to them. You should just actually say what is wrong. That is one of the hardest things to actually to actually wrap your head around. Because if you look at the self-improvement tradition, you'll see that one of the first rules, as Dale Carnegie says in like How to Win Friends and Influence People, is don't criticize, complain, don't criticize, condemn, or complain. That's the first rule of actually being a sociable human being. And yeah, I agree with that. You don't want to criticize, and especially you do not want to complain or condemn in a social situation where nothing really matters. But when a person is deliberately affecting your own well-being, you need to fight back. These two ideas that are fighting, Jordan Peterson says in 12 Rules for Life that he tells the story of a children's book about a dragon, and says that once we actually acknowledge the dragon, the elephant in the room that is making our lives so miserable, the person that is making our lives so miserable, and talk to them, actually acknowledge the problem that is growing and growing and growing, then that is when we can actually solve things. Because if we don't acknowledge that, we won't be able to solve things. And whilst we don't acknowledge that, we will continue being absolute imbeciles with the people that we consider to be lower down in the social hierarchy. And I'm once again reminding you that this is not racism or sexism or transphobia, homophobia. They see them, racists, homophobes, whatever, see them as lower people. They actually feel as if they have the right to treat them as inferior specimens. And that's what causes so much hate around the world. That is what causes pretty much all hate, active hate crimes. Because we think that we have the right to hurt the people that aren't superior to us, that aren't actually controlling our lives and playing with us like marionettes. But if you want to be a superior human person, you need to actually adopt the philosophy that no matter how undeveloped someone's feelings are, or how pitiful they may seem, they still deserve your respect and kind words. I have recently talked about this as well. And we all know that we have had moments when we don't deserve someone else's respect, kindness, or clemency, but we will still yearn for it. And we know how happy it makes us when a person who knows they're probably better than us treats us with a small grain of respect. You could be a person like that very easily. So read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie and 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. They're two amazing books, the books I mentioned in this video. Form your own opinion after reading the chapters I mentioned. I don't know. The first chapter on How to Win Friends and Influence People, and then 12 Rules for Life, it's... I don't remember what chapter, but you can read both of those books and compare the two philosophies. Send this to someone you love, and I'll see you later. I've been Elias Bisot.